Hey there, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. Welcome to this episode I'm calling Free Abundance. Free abundance. Do you ever think about that? Is abundance free? Can abundance be free? We so often think about abundance tied to money, finances, the wealth of the tangible nature, generally of what's going in our bank account, or abundance of physical stuff around us, the cars, the house, how much furniture you have, the clothes in your closet. Well, that all tends to be thought of in a bought and paid for kind of way, not air quote free. So I wanted to talk today about this concept, I guess we'll call it a concept, concept of free abundance. Free abundance. And this came to me today because just this week I went to the library with my daughter, 2.5 years young daughter. And we go, I think it's like every 3 weeks, we renew books. She loves reading. I mean, it makes sense. My family, my husband's family, like we're all huge readers, love books. She loves reading. And so we went to the library. Stop and think about how amazing a place a library is. Tons of books. And now in this time and age we live in, not just books. Back like, when I was growing up and a little kid going to the library, I was like, oh my gosh, there's microfiche. Or, God, I don't even know what all the other things were. You had to go through the racks of like old newspapers or the boxes of old magazines, and now everything. There's the digital. There is abundance of books. There is abundance of DVDs and audio recordings. There's abundance of games. There is abundance of other multimedia stuff. The new library that they actually just built near me, it actually even has I guess they call it like a maker's, I don't know what they call it, like a maker's studio kind of thing, where there's a 3D printer. There's all of these other things. But think about all what that is. Books. What do books contain? Sentences, words, letters. What are they? Thoughts, ideas, consciousness, energy. In those, every single thing that is within the library, it's all a creation from someone's consciousness. And that consciousness is of infinite thought and infinite ideas and infinite energy of the universe, limitless. So I was thinking about this of just like, libraries are an incredible example of abundance, far and above beyond what we even think about it, with just like all these amazing resources. There's so much there. And of course, it's, air quote free, right? You don't have to pay anything to utilize all of those services, right? Because, of course, I don't know, depending on where you live, but it's typically customary, right? This is paid for by, our taxes. So yes, there's always a cost associated with everything. There's an exchange, a price, an investment, right? But how nominal it is to then have this free, as free in that moment there is not an exchange going on monetarily. You're not having to pay anything. You're not having to pony up any cash or swipe your credit card at the library to access and experience anything and everything that's in there. So yeah, we brought home 19 books, which is, kind of typical. We're somewhere in generally the 15 to 20 books range, just because that's kind of about what fits in the bag that I bring. And then, oh my gosh, what happens if I start bringing 2 bags? I don't know. It's going to get wild. But free abundance, all this abundance at the library that we can access for all intents and purposes free. And this got me thinking then, what else in our life that's abundance is free? Because as I was mentioning before, so much of the way that we classify and the meaning we put around abundance is we're always like, abundance comes with some cost. Abundance comes with a big price tag, right? Or to be abundant, it means then there is like, you work, you hustle, You have a job, you have a career, you do things, and then in that doing, you create the exchange to then receive whatever the abundance is. A good, a service, a relationship, right? But what about all the stuff that generally we take for granted? That is wildly abundant, infinitely abundant, so to speak, around us every day, that we don't even think of as abundance, and it's provided for us, essentially free. The cost being that, hey, we've chosen to come here and incarnate on this planet in this ego and go through Earth School. That is the energetic exchange we've made with the universe to then have all of the amazing free abundance around us every day that is actually supporting us. Think about that. Free air, free sunlight, abundance of both of those things, right? Maybe it's not sunny every day, but you've got ample sunlight. The sun is shining, right? Free air. Are you running out of air? Are we running out of air? I don't know. There's more than enough air for all of us, right? All of that for you, for your entire experience of life in this incarnation, free for you. Do you have to do something to go get that air? Do you have to do something? Do you got to pay someone to go breathe air? Do you have to pay someone to go have sunshine? I don't know, maybe there's somewhere in the world you have to do that, but I don't know about that. I mean, I certainly don't, and I don't think people who are listening do, and then most people do, right? It's free there for us to enjoy as much as we want every day. And air, well, we can't live without that, so nor sunshine. So we receive that constantly, abundantly, and it's free. Given to us just because we're here, with the exchange being that we are here. So when you are getting into, I don't have enough in my life, I don't have enough money, or feeling lacking in your health, lacking in some aspect in your relationships, lacking in some aspect in feeling peaceful and calm, serene, joyful, grateful, love frequency. Anytime you are not on the love frequency, but you are in the fear frequency, if you're feeling any sadness, shame, guilt, anger, fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, hate, rage, greed, concern, any of these things that are then low frequency, and you're not feeling just peaceful and calm and loving and joyful and good, take a moment. I invite you to take a moment and look at these things. They're all rooted then in a lack and a scarcity of something with your unmet needs. Because where all those emotions are coming from is survival-based programming that you have somehow gotten throughout the course of your life, most of it before you're generally 7 years of age, that has equated somehow these negative and low frequency feelings you have, they're all tied to fear. And your fear is biologically based in your need for safety and survival. And that has to do then with, if you need to survive, well, you need your needs met, your food, your water, your shelter, right? Even community, some of these basic needs. Well, the programming we've been given, so to speak, in this ego of ours right now often is that money is needed for survival, that other relationships are needed for survival, that being seen and accepted and nurtured and loved or cared for or appreciated, valued, all these other things we've been programmed to believe go with that survival. Abundance of these things. So if you don't have abundance of money in your life, you don't feel like you have abundance of love, if you feel like you don't have abundance of joy and peace and acceptance and community, if you don't feel like you have an abundance of allowing you to just be who you are, the authentic, beautiful you that you are, if you don't feel like you don't have that abundance of acceptance, right? That doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel good. Unmet needs, lack. instead of abundance. You're lacking that acceptance instead of having an abundance of acceptance. You're lacking money instead of having an abundance of money. But every time you get into this place throughout the day, I invite you to look for it, be aware of it, and take a moment and pause. And then ask yourself, what are 3 things where I have free abundance? Abundance without cost. Abundance that is mine just because I exist. That I am abundant just because I exist. We've already talked about some, but come up with 3. Come up with 3. Do this throughout the day. Do this daily. Do this every time you feel the negative frequency, thoughts, emotions, feelings, lack, scarcity, don't have enough, never have enough, can't have enough, not possible for me, not worthy enough, not good enough. All those things. What 3 things can you list that are free abundance for you just because you exist? That you have right now in abundance in this moment, and it didn't cost you anything other than that you are here. You exist. Like I said, we've already talked about some. Air, sunshine, gravity. How about that? Gravity. How about gravity? I made a couple notes here because I was thinking about these. It's really fun. Free to choose your thoughts. You have an abundance of thoughts, and they're free. You have an abundance of feelings, abundance of emotions, abundance of heartbeat, abundance of breathing, right? Abundance of how you respond and react. All free. Things you already have. Things you do all the time. Things you do every day. How about free everything you experience with your 5 senses and also beyond your 5 senses? Beyond 3D. Hear, touch, feel, see, taste, and then everything you sense then as that beautiful, amazing, and eternal soul and cosmic being you are, beyond what we can sense with just our 5 senses. That's all free and completely abundant just because you're here. How about this one? Abundance of wisdom and intuition and knowing. Think about that. Abundance of intuition and wisdom and knowing. You have access to the entire wisdom and knowing and information and whatever you want to call it of the universe, time immemorial and through all time and no time, infinite, eternal. Access to every single piece of information, knowing, wisdom, intuition, all of it, of the universe, just because you're you. And it's free. That abundance of knowledge and wisdom, the secrets of the ages, whatever you want to call it, is free to you just because you are here and exist. And of course, you access that through being in the frequency of your soul in the universe, love, right? This is then how you become aware of all of that information to which you are already privy, except you need to bring it into your consciousness, your awareness through your frequency. But you already have access to it. Abundance, infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge, the knowing of the universe. And that's free. You already have all of that just because you exist. So I don't know, how many things have I come up with here? A whole bunch. And I'm sure that you can come up with more. I trust that you can come up with a whole bunch more. But look then as you're creating this list and coming up with 3, or even, I don't know, do more things. Keep going if you're on a roll. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how your perception is starting to change. If these things are free and abundant for you just because you exist, why can't everything else in your life be abundant for you and also free just because you exist? Think about that. Why not? What if money flows to you freely, abundantly, infinitely because you exist? And your exchange is because you are here and you radiate at the frequency of love, the highest frequency in the universe. There's the exchange. But it's possible for you, and it's free because it's already possible for you and already exists for you, should you choose to step to it with your frequency. What about your health? What about the relationships What if those are abundant freely to you simply because you are here and you exist, and then you exist at the highest frequency of the universe, love. This is, as I mentioned, the exchange. Everything in the universe is an exchange. Yes, everything is free because you exist, but the exchange is you existing and you then being in the frequency of the universe, love, to then receive what already exists because it already exists on that frequency in the universe. And then you freely receive that abundance. So think about this, free abundance. Where is your perception? Where are your habits? Where are your thoughts and your feelings getting you into a trap that abundance takes work or hustle or effort or a big price or hard or suffering or any of that? And start to do the reprogramming and the rewiring and the shifting of that misperception, those misunderstandings, the misprogramming as it is, that no, all of this that you desire, all abundance is actually free in the way that we like to think of free. And the free part is simply you exist. The compensation to receive all of that abundance is just that you exist and you choose to live as love. Think about that. Think about that. It's a whole other feeling. It's a whole other ball game than, what price am I going to have to pay? I've talked about this in an earlier episode as well. What is the price you pay? Love, devotion to yourself, to that higher frequency. To freely receive, then everything is free. Then everything is free. Having to pay, having to struggle, having to put out the money, the effort, the work, the hustle, all the stuff you think you have to do to create abundance, that's the illusion. The reality of the universe is that it's all free when you are at the love frequency. Simply because you exist as a creation of the universe. The universe is then just giving to itself because you are the universe and the universe is you. So there you go. Think about that. Free abundance. How can you think? Who can you be? Feel? Think? Reprogram yourself around abundance being free for you. See how that lands. And do this practice with 3 things. What 3 things can you list that are free abundance to you to start making that shift and increasing your awareness and your gratitude around free abundance and everything that's possible for you, because it's already possible for you and it already exists right now. So that's your takeaway, and I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for being here. As always, shine bright. The world so needs you and your brightness. As you shine bright for yourself, that shines out into the world. But change starts with you on the inside, always. So big hugs to you, and I'll see you in the next one.